Welcome back to Bo's War Thunder Favorites. This week we will be taking a look at the Hawker Typhoon. This is one of the planes that I have mixed feelings about, and it's always felt off to me in the damage model and flight model, but since it's been around for almost, a year and a half now, a year, it's felt the same, and they haven't really done much to adjust it, so I don't know if this is going to be the permanent Typhoon flight model or not. But I can only use and review the flight model that's in game. So real quick, I'm going to show you why it's one of my favorites. It's actually one of my most used British airplanes, NRB. It's the plane I kind of learned how to fly RB on. And as you can see, that's the premium Typhoon Mark 1B, 215 kills. And then there should be the Mark 1B late, 69 kills, 20 deaths. So I have, I think, what called above average kill-death ratio on this plane. And I will show you how I fly it. And I'm not necessarily proud of it, but if you fly this plane how you're supposed to fly a normal plane, you usually get 1 to 2 kills in a game. If you fly it the kind of abusive way that I will show you, you get 3 to 4, sometimes 5 kills a game by flying it carefree. But let's step back real quick and take a look between the Typhoon Mark 1B and the Mark 1B L or late. This was the original Typhoon Mark 1B. It had a lot of problems. I will go through those problems while we're climbing. But the big differences in game is this is a premium aircraft. It'll come fully upgraded. You have a 200% reward bonus. This one has reward 230%, 200, so that's 400%. Research point bonus is 48%. On the premium, it's 172%. So that's how I grinded through a majority of the British tech tree to get my meteors and the mighty vampire. So real quick, the big difference is you're going to see, that you can see in game that I know of, there could be some other stuff. The canopy had a change between the Mark 1B and the Mark 1B late. As you can see, that's a bubble canopy. And then you have that canopy. I believe also from the blueprints books that I have, it shows that the original Mark 1B, can't see it real well, had a steel plate right there that is fixed. You can't really see very well behind it. The Mark 1B late, they fixed it by making it a little bit smaller, but I believe that can fold down somehow so that the pilot, if you want, you can have full, if you're not worried about a round coming through the back of your canopy, you can actually see more. Second thing is they actually added rocket hardpoints, and this was the second most successful ground attacking aircraft of World War II. And I'll share some of those stories that I have, but this is where the plane really made a name for itself, was doing these rocket and bomb attacks. So let's head in game, and then I will talk about it further there. So the belts that I usually use before any of you ask is universal. When I used to fly this thing a ton, I used stealth belts because I knew where the cannons would always fire. Since I've been a little bit rusty with it, I've flown a few games trying to get back in the habit of it all, but I switched back to the universal because I believe it's high explosive, armor piercing, and then tracer. So it gives you the highest chance of getting those tracer rounds out. So I'm going to real quickly show, as you see, I put it to about 15-degree climb. I usually WEP climb for a while. This plane, it does overheat, but the second you let off the throttle, it'll go back down the temperature. That thermodynamics on this plane are a little bit wonky as well. Like I said, everything on this plane just seems to be off. And it really irritates me because this is for some reason, it's always been one of my favorites from World War II, and I can't always place my hand on what. But as you can see, a lot of people complain about the roll rate, and it's really been stiff, and you can't, do anything. But then for some reason, when you apply rudder with mouse aim, this thing goes all over the place, and that's where you kind of abuse this plane. When I mean it's abusive type flight model when you look at it. And then when you do a knife edge turn like that, you just kind of go wherever you want. And it's like flying, I don't know, it's like it's in space. Like gravity and, air doesn't affect the way that thing is a rudder, an elevator. I don't know, I can't place my hand on my finger anyway. So it uses Hispano Mark IIs, and that's why it has those big barrels sticking out. Hispanos Mark IIs were massive cannons, and that's going to create quite a bit of drag. It's got that massive propeller on it. The British were famous. This plane, like I said, had a lot of quality control issues. It was meant to replace the Hurricane, and it was essentially, I believe, supposed to come out like a pure fighter roll, but that quickly wasn't going to happen. The Napier Sabre engine takes forever to warm up the temperature, and you're not a very good interceptor when, the enemy comes in, attacks, and it takes you, I believe this thing took somewhere I read 40-45 minutes to get up to temperature and running, when a Spitfire could do it in less than 5. So the Typhoon automatically lost the, job to the Spitfire right there. And then the British always had this lovely thing, and I've talked about before with the Hercules engines on this channel, but the Sabre was also over-engineered, and 1940s technology didn't let you do 100%, parts to the particular specification that we can do today. So when you built something as complex as a Sabre engine, it typically liked to break down or was finicky or whatnot. But I've read a lot of pilots like the plane simply because of its ability to the massive amount of power output that it had. So ground crews might hate this plane, engineers might hate this plane, people that study aviation typically kind of hate this plane at times. But everything I read from pilots, they loved it. Another thing that pilots loved about it was the ability that it had of a stable gun platform. With those massive, huge wings, with those, you're firing 420 millimeters off, it seemed to handle the recoil very well. You put it on sight, or you put your sights on a target, and it would stay there. And that's why it became a very successful ground attack aircraft. A majority of the success I read about this plane is actually in the Battle of the Bulge. These things, when the weather got good enough, came in and just launched rockets and bombs and cannons on as many of the panzers and German troops that were, flooding through Bastogne. I've also read some very sad stories of where they attacked U.S. Shermans, but that's kind of the problem with combined arms, I guess. So, in the past gameplay I did, let's talk about the actual in-game, what you see here. I typically climbed super high altitude, and this plane usually gets out-climbed by things like Yak 9s, Yak 3s, and rightfully so, this thing wasn't the best fighter, but I've always somehow had more success flying kind of medium altitude over the middle, and I want to try and bait people to attack me. And then I use that super kind of like, I don't know how to call it, short range, ability to move to a point and aim. I mean, the thing's like fly-by-wire controls, it feels like. And there's a free bot killer right there. I guess, premium plane, let's use it. Hello, Tetsu. That's revenge for killing me last night. Dirty scumbag. And then let's fly towards our teammates. Looking around. Don't really see anything. I think I saw something down there. Let's head that way and see if we can get in trouble. Oh, there's a Yak 3 up high. And you know what? This plane can prop hang. It has a super slow stall speed. It had one in real life. I remember it could go like 70, 75 miles an hour with the flaps out. Fortunately for the Yak 3 pilot, he did nothing wrong. It's just the way this Typhoon works in game. It's ridiculous. So that's one. Here comes 3 head on. I should probably lose this, but I have complete confidence that this Typhoon's going to win. This is one of the most scary planes to go head on with in game, and most pilots who've been around for a while are definitely terrified of this plane. So I'm going to do the same thing I tried with that Yak 3. I got it sparkle, but it didn't seem to register. I'm going to roll over. Look at this thing. It's ridiculous. And line back up. Here's the I-185. He's going to... Oh, he's not going to take the head on. I should be able to catch him, and there we go. That was his tail control. This thing is... Like I said, this is kind of the bullshit about this plane. I don't think there's any other plane that can do this besides maybe a Zero. Alright, and then let's go... I think that 185's on that P-47. Those other guys seem to not be pursuing me. So I'm just going to head over here and try to help that guy over there. I think that those P-47s, these foo-foo guys, can handle it for sure. Oh, we got a Yak 9. I think he either late joined or he's just coming off the airfield now. We don't want any Yak 9Ts running around this neighborhood. And AA always concerns me. I don't trust AA in this game. Always takes that one shot. Oh. And is that P-47? I don't know what's going on over there. Alright, just trying to get a control of the situation here. 185 is lighting up that B-25. Jeez. And it looks like he got him. So, P-47 is chasing the Yak 9. Looks like he broke off the Yak 9. And, alright, I'm going to let him deal with the 185. I'm not going to let this Yak 9 escape. I don't need him climbing to the side and getting altitude. One thing about the Typhoon, the way I like to get kills is you can usually want to shoot people directly behind. I always like to wait for them to turn because it's playing like a deflection shot like that right there. I always wait for the deflection shot. So if you want to be safe, fly in a straight line. The second you turn is when I light into you. I've always had more success with the 20mm cannons when you show me more than just your tail. And this plane allows you to do, I mean, the huge wings, the convergence, it just murders. This thing is an absolute murdering plane. And I think that 185 just rammed that P-47. So I guess that takes care of them. Though, I will say, though, even though this plane, I don't know. I thought this thing's flight model was going to be fixed a long time ago. It never has. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be. I found some kind of conflicting data here and there. You know, I've waited forever. I know the Tempest 5, the Tempest 2, all of its kind of bigger brothers have had flight model change, and this thing always stays the same. So I don't know if they're happy with it. And like I keep kind of saying, I don't know how they can possibly be. But this is a plane that I've learned a lot of. You know, a lot of people kind of ask me from time to time, where did I learn my turn fighting techniques? And it's from this plane. The Zero, like I showed last week in the A6M2, the Boomerang, and this Tiffy, I've always learned a lot from. So I think that Yak 3 is quite a bit in trouble. Gonna stay low altitude. This thing is kind of a dog on the deck. That's why you always want to climb at least to medium altitude so you can get some speed. The one maneuver, if you're not familiar with it, is the Split S. I will show a clip here in a little bit, so stick around. I know this is kind of dying down, but I'll show you the end of this round. And then I will show you the beginning of next round of where I mean this plane could be ultimately bullcrap. And of course, you know, it's partly the enemy's team fault too. You have to make adjustments to what you're fighting. This plane's not by any means unstoppable, but it definitely needs to be respected. So let's keep heading over towards that Yak 3 until I think these guys have it quite in hand. I just want to be in the area in case he's on fire. So this game's already in the bag. So, okay, so this is how I fly the Typhoon Mark 1B. I don't know. I think this plane's probably overperforming a lot of ways. It's one of my favorite planes of World War II. I'm conflicted. I want to hear what you guys think. You know, it's not usually brought up in the conversations of a cheap plane. There's quite a few others that take that stage, but I think this thing needs to be thrown out too. I could be wrong though. It could be right. I just don't. I keep saying it. I just think that there's quite a few things off, but it never gets fixed or adjusted. So there's Shinya. I'm not gonna take this from that poor P-47. Let's go for some immersion now from the cockpit view. Oh yeah, look at that big propeller. Look at that fire. Shinya burn, just like your brother Tetsu. Burn. Silly bots. Silly bots. Alright, so that should be the end of this game. I think I got 3 player kills and a bot kill. I don't... Yep, so... Like I said, this is one of my favorite planes in games, one of my favorite planes in World War II. I just typically don't fly it anymore because I feel like I need a shower afterwards. Look at this. I mean, this thing... It's not normal. You can do this with most planes, but this thing's just ridiculously stable. If you watch my like War Thunder kill them with fire video, I actually kill a Yak 9T head-on upside down with it. This thing is just... It's like there's every other plane in the game, and then there's the Typhoon. At least in my book, that's how I feel, because it just... It's some other flight modeler who drank a lot of vodka that day, I keep saying it, made this flight model. So you can see there's my rewards. There's a premium plane, 3 player kills, 1 bot kill, 83,000 lines. You can take that to the bank. That's quite a bit of research as well, I believe, for tier, you know, what, 4.3 battle rating. Alright, so this is a game that I flew actually properly. I got up to 13,000 feet before I got swarmed. Still was not able to outclimb the 190s. But I'm trying to fly more proper here, so I'm avoiding the head-on. And here's this, you're going to really see the 190s, I'm sorry, the Typhoon's durability here. If this thing ever gets a scratch on the wing, it's completely unable to churn. But for some reason, it'll take a beating, and it probably could do that in real life as well, except if it took a bullet to the inline engine. Inline engines weren't very reliable. And that's why you don't take head-ons. I just face-palmed. I avoid the face... Avoid the head-on or not, and anyway. Oh, we got another 190 coming in. I am not going to go head-on with him. I'm going to keep doing this drastic turn out of the way. Dodged him. I'm getting swarmed here. which is why I want to show you this clip. Oh, here we go. Here's the third customer. I'm in the clouds. I'm just going to keep using the clouds to my advantage. And I'm going to start diving. And here is the split S maneuver that I really love this plane, is to dive, and I want to keep churning underneath myself. That's not a proper split S. There it goes, right here. They're on me. I'm going to roll over, and I'm going to pull basically up, which will bend me towards me, except I'm getting compression, fighting compression. I'm actually lucky I didn't go straight into the ground here, because this plane suffers from it quite a bit in a dive. Look at that. I should be dead 6 times over. And you could just say this is lucky, but this has happened to me repeatedly in this plane. So I must be the luckiest human being in the world. And I'm just gonna, I know this plane will out-churn anybody in this type of, you know, stable, horizontal, knife-edge churn. I know I can beat everybody, and I don't, you know, it just takes one of these 190s to realize, hey, if I go in the opposite direction, or if I do a hammerhead or anything, this guy is dead. But I'm just gonna sit here and keep doing this churn and allow my teammates to slowly pick them off. So it's like NASCAR. I'm basically playing NASCAR with my Typhoon. I'm just going to keep doing a left turn, a little more left. And I would eventually catch this guy. Well, actually, one of them crashed trying to... Okay, I don't know what that was about. That's one down. Corsair got another one. That guy, I think, got bored by the left turn, and I think he's going to leave me. So... this thing is hard. Like I said, you just have to respect this plane in game. If you're fighting against it, attack it in the vertical. Don't try to fight it in a turn fight. Sorry, that was another head-on that just made me cry a little bit inside. Yeah, so I think that's all I'm going to say about this 190. Yes, this guy goes off to the races. If you're a beginner player and you're having a lot of success, you know, either you go down the Spitfire tree or you go down the Typhoon Tempest tree, basically usually for British airplanes. I've always enjoyed these planes. I've always enjoyed the bigger Hawker airplanes. I don't know why, it's just a preference thing. But hopefully this gives you a little bit more insight. If you're, I know a lot of people have problems with the Typhoon for some reason. Hopefully you're seeing, you know, this is a way to have success. Anyways, thanks for watching, and next week we will move on to Germany.